Well guys, it's the next day here. I just got this engine up off the hoist, or off the engine stand, and I did the rear cover seal and the actual rear crank seal, and then I did the seal on the front cover as well. So we got a new seal on that as well, and I did get the engine mounts on. I Loctited the bolts, got those all good. Cut out that piece, you guys saw that. And now I'm just working on getting this broken stud out right here, as you can see. So I'm probably just gonna use the TIG welder for this. Just gotta use a little bit of stick out, put the nut over top, and I'll try to tag onto that guy. So let's just do that quick. How I take out broken bolts off these LS heads. I kind of just build up the stud with a bit of a filler metal, and then I get it just basically so it's enough of a hump that when you put the filler in the nut while you're trying to weld it, it actually has something to weld to. If you just try to like weld straight onto the stud with the nut just sitting over top of it with flush with nothing sticking out, you'll almost never ever get good penetration to the stud, and it'll never ever, it'll just break. That's why it breaks off all the time when everybody does it. They just kind of stick it in there, mix around in there with the MIG welder, and it doesn't actually get hot enough in there by the time you fill up the actual nut. And then it gets welded to the nut really good, like the filler's attached to the nut really well, but the actual weld isn't welded to the broken off stud, so it'll always break off. When I've done it, this TIG welder this way, where I kind of build up the stud and then put the nut over top and then weld it on, I've never had one break off doing it this way. So that's good. Well, I'm just going to get the engine block and the cylinder heads all ready for the heads to go back on when the cam comes today. I'm just going to razor blade the deck surface and the cylinder head. I've done it on, I don't even know how many engines, cylinder heads, and I've never ever actually had a head gasket leak ever. All I'm going to do is razor blade the surfaces, take the same head gaskets that came off it, I'm going to clean those a little bit, and then I'm going to spray them down with some copper coat. You guys will see, not copper coat, copper gasket spray. And then pop them back on, and I've never had an issue, even running reused head bolts on something that's running 30 pounds of boost. I've never had a head gasket leak yet. So I'm gonna go ahead with this. We could argue which way is the right way, the wrong way, but this is the way I do it, and it works just fine, and I've never had an issue, so I'm not gonna change how I do it. All right guys, let's get at it. Check it out, boys. It finally came. I've been waiting all day for this shit. Let's open her up. I was thinking this stuff wasn't gonna show up today. I was like super worried. It didn't have any scans on the tracking. It basically was showing its scan this morning at 7 o'clock in Edmonton, and I haven't seen an update since then, and now it's here. So that's how she goes. I don't have any more table space either, so I'm just unboxing it in the middle of the floor. Oh, there's the good stuff. If anybody wants the part number for which cam I'm using, it's that one there. Oh, quality box here, boys. Right on. The lifters I just got some Summit, basically OEM replacements. I'm sure these are some sort of like aftermarket Elgin, Clevite, whatever, Engine Tech style lifters that everybody sells. And Summit just puts their little name on it. Here is the part number for the oil pressure sensor. That basically is gonna go from the stock threads to a 1/8 MPT. So then I will thread the stock square body oil pressure sensor in. And then here is the coolant temp one. So that's gonna go from, or I'll be able to put that in the actual head, and then it'll convert it basically from the stock coolant temp sensor thread to a old school coolant temp 1/2 inch MPT thread, and that'll go in the cylinder head. So let's get to it. Alright guys, we got the motor back together here. I'm just putting the flex plate on. Something I wanted to show you guys here is that in order to use this LS flex plate with like a turbo 350 torque converter, you do have to slightly notch out the 3 holes for the torque converter. I'm just putting Loctite on these guys and blast those in here. I got the dowel pins in for the transmission, so that lines up. You guys probably seen I put this in. I did thread in the one here that's going to be the square body sensor, but I figured I might snap. I don't want to risk snapping it off, so I took that one off there just in case when I'm lowering it in or something like that, it catches on something. I don't want to snap that off, else then we'll be at a standstill. So that's what we got so far here. I think I'm pretty much ready to put it in. So got this crank spacer on there. I did have to sand the snout of the torque converter a little bit because it wasn't fitting quite right. It was kind of getting caught on there, and it's going to be kind of hard to slide this in with those tall engine mounts and go over that lip. So it's going to be a little bit tricky because it's pretty tight, and these are so tall that it's hard to really drop the engine in when you got stuff to line up on the back and the transmission's in the truck, because I can't really slide the tranny back that much. So let's slap her in there. Well, we got the engine mounted in here, boys, and it is not coming back out, so there she sits. I had a bit of an issue getting the tranny to bolt up to the engine. It was kind of tight in there, getting everything kind of aligned with itself, just because the tranny is sitting in there, and when the engine comes down with those tall engine mounts, it's very hard to get it to sit together, but it's all together. I don't know if you guys can see under here, but it's all bolted up. I just got to do converter bolts, and then I can start on the rest of the wiring, put the starter on, and all the accessories. But I think that's going to do it on this one, guys. You know the deal. Get out in the garage, start being about it, quit talking about it. And if you guys could subscribe to the channel, that'd be awesome. I'm trying to get it to 1,000 subscribers. So yeah, we'll see you in the next one.